What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Avril.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with Sarina Murphy, motivational speaker and domestic violence advocate. But first, Tia, what's going on, girl?
Well, I should be asking you what's going on. You just celebrated a birthday. Come on now. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I am the big, or whatever you want to call it, exciting or crazy or scary 4-5. I turned 45 years old on Wednesday, May 31st. And man, talk about a flood of emotions.
Okay, wait. So before we get to the emotions that come with that, what did you guys do?
So I had like a self-care day. I got everything done pretty much from head to toe. And then I came back and my son, he had prom with, it was another girl's prom. It was her prom. So he went with someone else to their prom. So yesterday, yeah. So I had to get him together, take some pictures and send him off, which was crazy because it was like it's a glimpse into his prom is like 2 weeks later, but it was just a glimpse like, wow, I'm almost really done with all of this with him, which is nuts. And then I had about 30 minutes to get myself together and we left and we went to the city and we went to this restaurant called Tatiana's. There's a black chef that his story is amazing. Like he talks about, migrating from Nigeria and how hard he worked and how he used to, all the things that he used to do to get to the point where he was now. So anyways, we went and had dinner there, which was awesome. The food was so delicious. It's a nice fusion of food. And then from there, it's funny because I love music. Everyone knows that. I love to sing and I love music and I love Broadway and all of that stuff. And Nate does not like any type of show that has singing and dancing in it. That's just not his thing. There's most things he could do, but there's just certain things he's like, it's just not me. So anyways, I said that to say he took one for the team and got me tickets to the Lion King, and we went and saw the Lion King and had
the show was phenomenal.
It was so great. I actually can't wait to take my daughter Mia. I actually bought tickets. It's so funny, right before COVID happened, and I never was able to use them, obviously, because COVID hit. So, and I just let it go. But anyways, Nate remembered, and he got tickets, and we went and had a great time. And yeah, and that was my 45th. And I'm going to just
That was
celebrate.
a long night.
It was. I feel bad for him because he had to get up bright and early. He does the 4 a.m. wake up call. So, but he took over the team yesterday. And made me smile, so I cannot complain at all. And it was so cute when we walked in the door and I got home. All the kids were there waiting, and they had the lights off, and they had the candle burning, and they sang "Happy Birthday." And I opened up gifts and cards, and it was actually a very memorable birthday, one that I'll hold near and dear to me because. One, I'm 45, which is crazy. Like I am halfway through my 40s, almost at 50. And I have a child leaving this year, which is crazy. And I'm 5 years away from 50, and I'm 5 years away from an empty house, which is bananas. Oh, wow. So yeah, when I say there's a flood of emotions, yeah, there's a lot of things going on there.
Okay, so one, I can't believe because the last time, or when you turned 40, huge extravaganza in Dominican Republic. And I cannot believe that it's been 5 years. Number one, not only do you not look like you are 45, whatever 45 is supposed to look like, but time is really flying, right? And even
time is flying.
When you put into perspective that in 5 years you're going to be an empty nester, like what is going on? Like
that's what I'm saying. It's like, I had this moment and I said, there's so many things that you prepare for and you think about in life. You prepare for having a baby, whatever that looks like. There's all these things you're supposed to do. There's all these things you're supposed to prepare for before the baby gets here. There's all these things you're supposed to do when the baby is here. There's all these milestones that you think about. And your child will leave one day But it's the flood of emotions and the things that you don't necessarily think of that happen in real time that really blow my mind. Maybe it is because I'm a planner. Maybe it is because I never thought of these things. But just realizing like, wow, this is the last year that all 5 of us will be in the house. Like, wow, this is my son's prom is almost coming up. This is the last prom I'll ever have with him, and, in 3 weeks from today, wow, I'll be celebrating his, he'll be graduating, and 2 days later we'll be hopping on a plane and going across, the country to send him off to school. So those things you don't necessarily think about. Maybe that they're going to happen at some point, but how they hit and how they feel, I'm sure is different for everybody, but it's definitely been crazy for me. My mind has been blown all like the entire morning. I was just like, wow, this is different.
This is really happening. Okay. Yeah. So, cause I don't think I remember you talking about, like turning 40 with this kind of like excitement for like being there, but also like a little bit of heartbreak.
Yeah. And that's almost what it is. It's bittersweet. It is. It's heartbreak. It's sad, but it's not sad in the sense of it's not a devastation.
Yeah.
It's just sad that a certain chapter is coming to the end and you have to be okay with turning the page. And knowing that whatever the next page is, you're not in control of and you're not a part of. You're literally celebrating someone else and what they decide to do in their own lives and being their support. So it is different. It is sad. But at the same time, I'm thankful for my health. I had to like change my mindset, right? I was like, okay, Atoya, you went through the SADs. Like, now what? Like, I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful that, I still have this great relationship with him that he knows he can call on me anytime. Like, he's my twin. We crack jokes. Like, that's my guy. So I'm grateful for that relationship with him. And I'm just thankful that like I'm going into 45 not feeling like what people tell me 45 is supposed to feel like. I am thankful for that. So yeah.
Okay, so I got one last question for you and then a comment. Okay. But now I'm going to turn the page or flip the script on you of something we've asked the guest throughout season 4. But so you're 45 and you are a planner. And it's interesting because this was just on the Breakfast Club, but there's this thing that we do as women is like where we plan our life. Oh, I'm going to be married by this age. I'm going to have kids by this age. I'm going to stop having kids by this age. And basically we plan out our whole lives at freaking 18, right? When you think about where you thought you would be at 45, are you where you thought you would be?
That is a great question, Tia. I would say yes and no. I would say I always knew I wanted to have a family one day. That was very important to me. So in that respect, I would say yes. You just never think of your family as leaving. That's the hard part, right? And I'm very, very thankful for my family and how close we are through all the moves and transitions and chaos we've endured in our lives. I'm thankful for that. And so in that respect, I would say yes. I feel like career wise and focusing now more on Atoya, I'm just getting started. I realize I have so much more life to live for myself. I feel like I've given myself and sacrificed a lot for my family, which I don't regret. And what I realize is in your 40s is when you kind of really come into who you are. So starting now and doing all these things that I really want to do and enjoy doing for myself, I think it's perfect timing. So, yeah, I would say I'm where I want to be with my family and, in my career, like just, I feel like your careers pivot in life, in real life. Like some people start it's a specific job here and they end up over there. And this is my job is where I am now. My kids see what I'm doing. They're cheering me on. And, just like I cheered them on all those years. So I'm very content and happy with where I am. But I do feel like I'm just getting started. So come back to me at 60.
At 60. I was about to say 50, but at 60. 60. Okay. I like the answer. Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, have you guys thought, because I know everybody's starting to leave because this year's Lil Nate, next year's Nehemiah. And like you said, 5 is Mia. So I have a friend from college, shout out to Rachel, but her family, she has this huge family, and they have a tradition of every year, the last week of July, first week of August, the entire family goes to Vegas. And it is from grandpa, her dad, who started it, all the way down to the grandkids. And that's the thing, like, it's on their calendar. Their family knows that we all getting together. And I don't know like how they do it financially, like where if he covers everything or most, whatever it is, but they have that thing. And so they know at least once a year, everybody's going to be under one roof or in one situation. Have you thought about maybe establishing some sort of tradition or some sort of like every year we're going on a family vacation, all 5 have to go, spouses, kids, when that happens, like no matter what, we're doing this one thing a year so that we're all together at least once. Have you thought about doing anything like that?
Yeah, I have. It's very funny that you say that, because I told Nate, I said we have to make sure when Nate does come home that we do something together as a family during the holidays. So holidays, you know, for me, Tia, are really big. I love me some holidays. I love decorating. So we'll definitely do something during the holidays. And yeah, once school is out for the kids, we'll definitely do something during the summer. Those are our 2 times, to be honest, that we only really have to travel, because, you know, in the fall, my boys are in basketball. In the winter, my boys are in football, right? And then you go into spring. Spring is like, you know, they go through March for basketball. So you have like, we go away for spring break. We won't be able to do that. So we'll probably replace that with doing something once Nate comes back from college. So definitely summer, definitely at the holiday season. Yeah, that'll be our time together.
Nice.
It's crazy. Here we are making new rules, new adventures,
and new traditions.
And a completely different chapter. It's crazy. But, you know, I'm excited about 45. I have so much to look forward to. And I'm excited to go cheer on my son in college. Like, that is so dope. Like, I'm going to be a psycho out there with like the signs and the bobbleheads. I'm going to be that weirdo. I'm letting y'all know, and I don't care. All right, y'all. Enough about that. Coming up next, our chat with Sarina Murphy. On the show today, we have an amazing woman and entrepreneur. She began her career in the entertainment industry as a runway and print model. She is a mother and former NFL wife, and she is now a motivational speaker and advocate for domestic violence. Please welcome to the show, Sarina Murphy. How are you?
I am good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes. Okay, so I would love to talk to you about all the things that you've done, but we're going to go back a little bit and just talk about your background. People want to know, you know, where you were raised, how you were raised, if you have siblings. Tell us about your basically growing up.
So growing up, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I am.
Oh, I heard it. You heard it, Florida.
Yes. So I am the middle child of 7 on my mom's side, and on my dad's side, I'm the baby of 4. So I kind of grew up in a big family per se. I originally have always had a love for the entertainment industry, which is why I'm so passionate about everything about the arts. When I was growing up, my mom, she was actually, you know how like you go to church and you have guest speakers come in. So we had like the celebrity gospel singers like CeCe Winans, you know, those type of people. So my mom was like the hospitality person. And I used to always be in the back and, you know, looking at these people. And I'm like, dang, I want to be like that when I grow up. So I always loved it. And I felt like that was something that was always embedded in me. And that, you know, when I got grown, I just like, you know what, let me just go full fledged for where I saw my life in the entertainment industry. So,
which was what? What'd you get?
So I started off doing modeling. You know, I am a little shorty per se, but back then, you know, they had height restrictions. You know, the modeling industry was very strict, which is so totally different from it is today.
Yeah.
So long story short, I didn't let that deter me. And I ended up meeting this one young lady I used to work with at work. And she had told me that her cousin, she does a lot of different modeling shows, hair magazines, hair shows. So she introduced me to her. Her name is Sarina Murphy. And because of Sarina, I've was consecutively modeling for her for at least 10 years. Then we did some things with Chris Rock and Good Hair, the movie Good Hair. We was on that. I was in magazines. I started doing film, and that's where my journey started in the entertainment industry.
So what was her name? Her last name was Akberry. What's her first name?
Sarina. My name is Sarina. It's Sarina. Yeah.
Sarina. So she was in the hair care industry. So were you doing that or?
Yeah. So she was a celebrity hairstylist.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice.
And what did you do in the movie? I want to hear about this movie.
Yeah.
So what was your part? So basically Good Hair was more like a documentary, and it talks about, things from alopecia, the Black hair industry, the chemicals and perms and things like that. And being that I was a part of Sarina's hair show, I was one of the models that was on the stage doing a hair battle. Barner Brothers back in the day was popping.
Yes, I remember that.
So I was on the stage, on Bronner Brothers. When I tell you we was racking up them checks, we won every single time. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And I actually passed the torch to my daughter. She's a professional model now. She has consecutively been in New York Fashion Week. She's been in global magazines, and, she's really doing her thing right now.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, we'll rewind a little bit because you talk about the hair industry in general or modeling. Like, did that damage your hair a lot? Like, girl, fried, dyed, and laid to the side, baby. Let me tell you, it was so much fun. But see, I was the fantasy girl, so I had like the big fantasy pieces on my head. So, in result of that, it was these heavy pieces. Sometimes they spin around. We had, when I tell you, Sarina did her thing on that, but it caused me to have like really my like a soft spot, like a baby, it was really soft and tender up there, and my hair started thinning because of the tension. So yeah.
So how did you branch out? Like, I know you said that you've done some other things since then. What have you done since then? And tell us your favorite part, because I know everyone's experience in modeling is so different.
Right. So my favorite part was doing the hair magazines. I love taking pictures. So that was
like print modeling.
Yes, print modeling was good. I love walking the runway. So that was something that was very different for me. So from there, I went into the film industry. So I've done a lot of stuff with Tyler Perry, Oprah. And I was in Bad Boys 3. They cut out my scene, but it's
were you? She said, but I'm there.
Cut out your scene.
Yes, and it's so crazy because we were on set for literally 12 hours. 12 hours. It was a 12-hour day on South Beach. I looked like a lobster because it was hot in the sun. Yes. Listen, and they cut my scene. It's all good though. It's okay.
So tell us your scene. Back into relive it.
Yes, tell us your scene.
Yeah, so I was one of the girls that was on the jet skis with the guys that had like the banging bodies and things like that. So, it was a feature role. It wasn't nothing like major, but still they cut my scene, but it's all good.
It's all good, but you were in it.
I was in it. I got the pictures to prove it.
Right. So you said you have a daughter. Did you slow Down with modeling and just your life in the entertainment industry when you had her? Is that
actually, when I had her, my fiance at the time, which her dad, he was very supportive. So when I had to go out of town, he would watch her, or if he had to work, my godmom would watch her.
What's happening?
Both of them has passed away. So, rest in peace to them both. But when she turned of age, like when she was around, like, I want to say about 4 or 5, she started noticing that I was gone a lot. And when I dropped her off, she started crying, and it was just, it just pulled on my heart. And I was like, you know what, let me stop what I'm doing and focus on being a mom, which
Yeah.
I was always a mom, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let me just slow down, and focus on that. And I went into the corporate arena. I worked at Citibank. I worked for Fortune 500 companies. It just wasn't for me.
That wasn't you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I felt like I was bound, child. I felt like I was bound.
Shackled.
So I like to tell people, like, the way I'm made, like, I'm not made to stay in one lane. I'm made to take up the whole highway. So I have my hands in a lot of different things. So even when I was working at Citibank and the Fortune 500 companies, I was finding my exit strategy. So I would write down my long-term goals and my short-term goals. And my short-term goals at that time was to have my event planning business. And, I just found an exit strategy. When the time came, I removed myself from corporate America. I started my event planning business, and I was doing a lot of events for celebrities, book signings, sweet 16s, like weddings and all that stuff or whatever.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, you were in Florida this whole time?
I was in Jacksonville. Yeah.
Jacksonville doing this. Okay. And then, so your daughter, she's doing this now. Is this more of a recent thing, like her getting into the modeling industry, or did you start her?
Oh, no. So when I used to practice, she used to be right there with me when she was little. And she put her hands on her hip and be walking and be like, okay, we see you smile. You kind of hyping her up and everything. So she had her first show when she was around four or five. And just her confidence on the stage, I was just like, okay, I can see that she's really serious about this. Then she ended up doing a hair magazine too. So she's in a magazine. I think it's called the Fabulous Magazine, Volume 16 or something like that.
Okay.
So she's been doing that. And, when I got married at the time, we stopped everything in the entertainment industry because my ex-husband wanted it to be focused on him and yada, yada, yada. So when we got divorced, she always still had interest in modeling. And she was like, Mom, I want to get back into it. And I knew she wanted to get back into it while we was married because she'll walk around the house, and act like she was on the runway and things. And I'm like, okay, so I wanted to get her back into it. But he was like, no, she don't need to be doing that, this industry stuff. But I feel like if it's a passion of a child, like you have to cultivate that. You can't suppress that. That's a gift. Everybody don't have that gift.
That's so true.
So when we got divorced, I just hit the ground running. Everything I wanted to do, listen,
you did.
I did it.
You and your baby.
And yes.
Yeah.
I was traveling. I was on set. I put her in position to get back into modeling. So she was consecutively at New York Fashion Week, Detroit Fashion Week. She even got hired for Paris Fashion Week, but her designer ended up getting sick, so we didn't go. But the fact that she even had the opportunity to do that and pursue that, So
I got a question for y'all, because Atoya's daughter is also in the entertainment industry and is cultivating her love because it's natural, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that it sounds like your ex had a concern, but how do you protect your girls entering into an industry like this?
Yeah.
You're with them.
That
to me is the easiest. What about you?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I would say he wasn't protecting. It was more like controlling because he wanted everything to be about him. So that was that, as far as protecting, I feel like Atoya said, you have to be with them. I remember when I was on set with David Makes Man, and it was some child actors, and I'm looking around, I'm like, where your mama at? So they didn't notice, but I'm acting as their mom to make sure nobody's taking them somewhere they're not supposed to be.
That part.
Nobody's trying to touch them in an inappropriate way, because it really takes a village,
Yes.
So you have to be with them. And if the production company say there's no manager, no parent on set, then you need to not allow your child to do that particular project.
Yeah,
period.
I would agree. That's right. They should always be there. I want to go back a little bit, though. I want to talk about, I know you mentioned a couple of times, kind of like the differences in when you wanted to hit the ground running with your career and your daughter versus when you were married. Let's talk about, how things started and how they ended up at that point.
How they started. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Like how you guys met, your ex, and kind of like, basically the evolution of like what happened within the relationship.
Oh, we got to talk about that guy.
And not, we don't.
I guess I give him a little. I guess I give him a little,
just a little bit,
just a little bit,
just a little bit.
Anyway,
I feel you.
All right, so back then I was, when I was in my event planning business or whatever, I end up at a gas station, and to my surprise, the person that was on the other side was a well-known DJ on the radio station in Jacksonville. And I was like, is that easy? He was like, yeah, that's easy. So me and him just, talking at this time, business or whatever. And also at that time, I was helping this guy with his music career. I didn't know anything about music, but he came to me and I told him directly, I was like, I don't know anything about the music industry. He was like, you don't have to know anything about the music industry. I love your tenacity. I love how you're a go-getter and you can make things happen. That's all I need.
You were going to figure it out.
Right. So it was so funny because a week later, after we had the conversation, Eazy-E is on the other side of the gas pump. So me and Eazy-E were chopping it up and everything. And I told him about my artist and wanted to get him on, the radio station. And I made that happen. So fast forward, it was a concert that was going on, and I knew Eazy had some tickets. And prior to that, to me finding out about the tickets, I went to a networking event at a arena game in Jacksonville, where I was trying to get my artist to sing the national anthem. So the owner actually invited me to the executive suite. They had a networking event. It was celebrities there, the whole nine. So I'm in there networking and everything. And I happened to look over and I see this guy in the suite watching the game, eating nachos. So he was like tearing those nachos up like he ain't eating like 5 days. So I went over there. I was like, those nachos good, huh? And so he started laughing or whatever. And that was my ex-husband. And we started talking in reference to the things that he has going on. He had a book that Coach Tony Dungy forwarded at the time. And being that I had an event planning business, I thought it was a great collaboration, if he hadn't did a book signing, to do one.
Right.
So we start talking business, exchange numbers. I want to say maybe the following week we were scheduled to meet to go over planning the book signing. And I got my makeup done, my hair, I'm ready. I got the my presentation, all of this stuff, right? So I'm headed to the location, and I'm maybe about 5 minutes out. So I called him. I was like, hey, I'm just letting you know that I'm running a little late. I'm 5 minutes out. He was like, oh, for what? So he forgot.
Oh, so
I was like, okay, I get it. So you forgot. It's cool. So I end up, taking myself back home and everything. And he's like, I want to make it up to you and take you to dinner or whatever. And at that time, I didn't have interest in him at all. He was not my type.
Now you wasted, but you also wasted my time.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't have interest in him when I first met him because he wasn't my type. Let's just get that out the way.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, he want to take me to dinner to make it up. But I still kept it business. We went to dinner and I kept it so business that I paid for my own meal because I didn't want him to think anything or whatever. So we were trying to work on this project, and we just kept spending time together almost every single day. And it went from that to a friendship, then to dating and all this other stuff, and showing me things that I didn't see before as a man of God. He was an evangelist as well. And it was just different dating him. So we got married fast in like 6 months. Never doing that again.
Got it.
Because at
note
the end
to
of
self, ladies.
Note to self. Listen,
6 months is too fast.
People can hide crazy in 6 months.
They can hide it for a year. They can hide it for a solid year, I've heard.
Right. So I learned my lesson, and a lot of it had to do
with he used to play in the NFL, right? So when you met him, he was retired?
Correct.
Like how long had he been retired by the time you had met him?
So he retired in 2000, I want to say 4, and we met in 2012.
Okay, so it had been a while. So he settled into retirement life.
No, he wasn't settled. He still wanted his glory days, child.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I mean, that contributes to the crazy a little. I called it the crazy, but y'all know what I mean. It contributes to the unstableness of relationships around them.
Right. Yeah. Because, you know, you have a person that's love bombing you, gift bombing you and all the stuff. So you don't really see the real person. It's the representative, you know, and that's something that I learned to never allow that to happen to me again, you know, and then being that he was an evangelist, you have the church, you know, pressuring you saying it's better to marry than sin and all this foolishness, you know.
God's watching you.
Yeah. And then another thing, when we went to marriage counseling, premarital counseling, they told him, oh, you've been married before, you know, we're only going to do 2 sessions with you. I've never been married. So I didn't know, you know, how many sessions we were supposed to have.
Interesting,
you know,
though, but you hadn't been married before.
Correct.
So why would they make it less? Because you still A, had not been married, and B, if it didn't work out with him the first time, maybe he need more sessions.
Hello.
But anyways, who am I? Go ahead, girl.
Hello. I'm with you when you're right now.
And you know how frustrating it is to feel like you are doing the right thing. Like, yes, the relationship moved quickly and you guys got engaged, whatever the case may be. But then you're like, oh, no, we need to do marital counseling. And then for it to be diminished in that way is like so disheartening.
Right. So it was like a rush thing or whatever. We ended up getting married. And I was told again, see, I was in my 20s, so I was a little foolish. You know, you get one time to be a fool.
You was a baby.
You get one time to be a fool on a relationship. After that, you just dumb.
Then it's on you.
It's on you.
Then you just dumb.
You just dumb. I'm just gonna keep it real. You know, and I learned from my lesson. So I'm saying that to say when we got married, I want to say maybe 2 to 3 weeks after that, he changed. Like
finally let the guard down. He finally showed you.
Yep.
And you knew it.
And
like
changed
talk about
way?
what it.
So first of all, I can say that I did see some signs or whatever, and I ignored it. You know, that's my fault. You know, I saw signs like we'll go places or whatever for business and pick up, like, say, for instance, a banner for the because I did his sports camps and all of his stuff. We picked up the banner one day, and he introduced me to the guy, and he gonna tell the guy, he was like, oh yeah, she's really gullible. And I was like, what you just said? He was like, I'm just playing. I don't even know what that word means, but you knew what it meant.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like little stuff like that, and you laugh it off or whatever. But I learned now not to laugh off anything. Correct it, nip it in the bud, and keep it moving, or whatever. So I saw the signs, so that was on me. But when we got married, you know, like I said, about 2 to 3 weeks, that's when I saw a complete, total person, like controlling, trying to control me with the word, all type of stuff. You know, it was just very different. So much so, I didn't have a bridal shower. So my god sister was like, hey, I want to do something for you because, you know, you didn't have a wedding, you didn't have a bridal shower. So I want to get all our friends together. Now we're in Jacksonville where all my family and friends are.
Oh, so you guys eloped?
Not really. We just went to his church, and it was just me, him, and the pastor.
Okay.
And a witness.
Okay.
So and I cried. But see, I cried because I felt like it wasn't right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Family to be a part of it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, long story short, you know, when my god sister wanted to plan that, he was like, oh, that's okay. You don't need all that. I was like, well, that's something that I want to do. So he didn't say anything. So I'm thinking he cool with it. So the day that I was getting dressed to, you know, to go and everything, he was like, where you think you're going? I was like, well, you remember my god sister is going to throw the bridal shower or whatever. He was like, ain't no wife of mine's going to be around somebody that's single. All your friends single, whatever. And I was just like, what does that have to do with them celebrating me and our union and what we got going on? Right. So I went in to go get my clothes or whatever, and then I was going to take a shower. And he got my phone and threw it into the wall and was like, you ain't going nowhere. And I was like, hold on, who you think you're talking to? Number one. Oh my God. You know, and then so he started getting very boastful, you know, like he was about to hit me. So I'm little. Y'all see how little I am. And, you know, I didn't say anything, but I looked at him to let him know that I wasn't scared, although I was a little nervous on the inside, you know. But I ain't finna let you know that.
Right.
Yeah.
I love you, Sarina.
I ain't gonna let you was not gonna see me sweat. Come on. Right. Listen.
Okay.
But anyway. So after that situation, you know, he threw my phone in the thing or whatever. So I didn't let him see me sweat. And I was headed to the bathroom to go take my shower. So he was like, if you go, you might as well find somebody that another man that's going to allow you to do stuff like that. And I'm in the shower at this time. In the shower. God. This man, he took the shower curtain and snatched it off, exposing me. What did you say? What did you say? Mm-hmm. Mind you, I'm nervous on the inside because I've never been in a domestic violence situation.
Yeah, you're like, what is going on right now?
Yeah. So I ain't say nothing. I just looked at him like he was crazy, got out, put my clothes on, dried off, put my clothes on or whatever. And he just going, yeah, mm-hmm. or whatever. And walking behind me, mind you, my daughter's in her room playing. Mm-hmm. So he's walking behind me, still going off. I done got her clothes, start packing stuff. And she was like, Mom, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she started crying because she's never been in a hostile environment like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked her up. I had her clothes and I had some of my clothes in a bag or whatever. And I didn't have a phone because he broke it. He threw it in the wall. Mm. So I'm walking to the door. By the time I get to the door, y'all, this joker is on the floor crying. Don't leave. And I'm like, hold on, you were just doing all this. Like, right. Yeah. You was just doing all this. And you sitting here on the floor crying by the door. I said, if you don't move out the way, I'm gonna call the police. He's like, I don't want you to leave. I'm so sorry. And so my daughter at the time, she was really small. She was in elementary school. So she was like, Mom, let's not go because Dad's crying. And I looked at him. I said, what you're not going to do is play on my daughter's emotions. Yes. I was like, move out the way before I call the police. And then he moved out the way. And I ended up going to my cousin's house for like a couple of days. I didn't have a phone, so I had to go to Metro PCS to go get a phone.
Come on, Metro.
Metro came through for you, girl. That's a plug. Metro came through for me. And one of his friends, I ended up checking my email on that new Metro phone. And one of his friends, he's like an older guy. He emailed me and he was like, Sarina, I don't know where you are. He was like, but do not go back home. He was like, I'm proud of you for leaving. He was like, I've seen some things in his previous marriage that I should have said something about. And I'm not going to let that happen with you. And then
you said this was one of his friends?
One of his friends, his older guy.
Mm-hmm.
Older guy. And so he told me to call him, and I called him and he was like, where are you? I was like, I'm not telling you where I'm at because at the end of the day, that's still your friend.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, you don't have to tell me where you are, but just don't go back home. You need to feel the pain of what he's feeling. And, you know, you don't need to go back to him so soon. He needs to feel the hurt that he caused you.
Yeah.
And he was like, when you do decide to go back home, I would like for y'all to go to marriage counseling. And so I was like, I don't even know if I'm going back home. So I ended up going back home because I was embarrassed.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like with your family and friends?
It was just like 4 days. It was only my cousin because I didn't tell anybody else in my family.
So what was embarrassing? What was embarrassing?
The fact that we had just got married and this happened with less than a month.
Okay. Oh, less than a month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cause she said like the 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. So you get back home and how was he when you got back?
He had flowers, balloons. I'm so sorry. And whatever. And I'm still like, nigga, how can I get out of this?
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like,
okay.
Because I've never been married before. And I've never seen
that's scary.
Yeah. And I've never seen a successful marriage. So we end up going to marriage counseling, like his friend, suggested. Yeah. And it was at his church, my ex-husband's church. So I felt like it was one-sided because they kept saying, oh, you have to submit and And in the back of my mind, I'm like, don't the Bible say you got to submit to one to another? Like y'all just can't be picking and choosing what Bible
what you want to use. Yeah.
Nah.
Yep.
You know, and at the end of the day, if you think about it, submission to me is not being a doormat. Submission is agreeing. Just like if you fill out an application at the end of the application, it says what? Submit. That means that you agree with everything that you put in that application. Yeah. So to me, it's an agreement. And I didn't agree with the things that he did, you know? So, you know, that was like one-sided or whatever. And it was like, one thing they did say that kind of made sense to me. They were like, oh, well, when two people come into one from different backgrounds, you know, it's a clash and whatever. So that did kind of make sense to me. So I get that. But dang, you got to be that crazy?
Yeah, there's a difference between clashing with someone or having disagreement, you know, in certain things, and someone threatening you, threatening your life. Like that is a scary feeling. It's like, to your point, you've never been married. Your daughter's never seen anything like that. Like you were probably shocked as well. Like that's not okay. No one should, especially from the person that's supposed to love you and protect you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
You're right. So from there, it was just like, he was good for like a month or two. And then he went right back into being that way, you know? And then I think he finally realized that, you know, I have family and support that I can just go and whenever I want to. And I remember one day he tried to pull my card because he got mad that I was cooking, right? So when you cook your food, you want to taste the food to make sure it tastes right, you know? Yeah. So I taste the food or whatever, and I put the spoon in the sink, and he was like, why would you do that? You don't need to be doing that. And I was like, do you want the junk to be nasty? Or like, what's the problem? Like, you want to have an issue about a spoon. And so we got in an argument about that. So much so this dude talking about I don't mind getting divorced. I got divorced before. So you can go down to the courthouse and get my papers. I was like, okay. So guess what I did? Went downtown to go get his papers. But the lady was like, in Florida, either because I was going to do just a separation or whatever, just to figure out this whole little thing. Like we supposed to be in you want to do. Yeah, we supposed to be in like marital bliss. This is a marital disaster, you know? So I asked her, can I do a separation? And she was like, no, you only can do a either you're going to be divorced or you're not. And I was like, dang. I was like, you sure? And she was like, yeah, that's the law that we have in Florida. And I was like, so no separation. And she was like, no. So then I took a picture of the area where I was at, the courthouse part of it. And I sent it to him. I was like, I'm getting your papers. There was a little petty part of me. And he was like, I can't believe you're trying to break up my family. And I'm like, so he tried to turn it on me.
You're like, you're the one that said to do this. I'm submitting.
Thank you, sister. Yeah. So, you know, so from there, you know, it was like, I don't know. I just end up staying. I didn't know like how to get out. And
so how long between that time that you went down there the first time and you finally deciding to leave? How long was that?
4 years.
4 years.
So what was the final like straw that was like, okay, at the end of this 4 years that you was like, okay, I can't do this anymore?
He put his hand on me. And
okay, so it turned physical.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we don't talk about the other parts of domestic violence. You know, you have the physical, which everybody know about. You have financial, verbal, mental, you know,
emotional.
Emotional. Yeah, we don't talk about those things because you can't see the scars. You see what I'm saying? So you can't go to the police officer and say, hey, my husband is emotionally scarring. Yeah, he's mentally and financially. They ain't gonna care about that.
Yeah.
And even if you do have a scar,
they don't consider it a crime.
Exactly.
It still on it. Okay.
Exactly. So the day that he put his hands on me, it was crazy because I just felt like I don't know, it was just a spirit that I felt that something was going to happen. He had just got hip replacement surgery. He was already acting, he'd been acting crazy, but he was acting a little bit weird. Like he was trying to get out of the marriage. Right. Which I feel like he was talking to somebody else, which is the person that he's married to now, you know, found that out. But anyways, long story short, so when that happened, when he got the hip replacement surgery, he was like, just, how like when somebody is sick and they have like the little bell and they think you're supposed to be at their beck and call.
Yeah.
Child. He had to go do a follow-up. He had to go. I was so over this dude because he thought that I was supposed to do everything that he told me to do and be rude about it. Right. So I showed his behind. He had to do a follow-up at the doctor. And they had him there for a couple days or whatever. So I came and brought him some food, and the nurse came in and was like, okay, Mr. Murphy, I need you to sit up and turn around, place your, like he was laying in the bed. So they wanted him to turn where his feet was touching the floor. So I got up and I sat in the other chair, and the lady looking at me like, you ain't gonna help him. You ain't gonna help him. That's your job.
Right.
Like, and so he looking at me like, so you just ain't gonna do this? No, because first of all, you've been disrespectful to me.
Yeah.
You think I'm your maid. I'm not, so I think that kind of made him feel a certain type of way. So long story short, this guy has been like to every one of his son's football games, walking up and down the stands with a cane, without the cane, didn't show any signs of disability. But the day he put his hands on me is the day I called the police. And when the police came, he told them, because he got my report, and the police got my report and they got his report. And his report, when they went upstairs to go see him, I can laugh at this now, but this man put on the whole theatrics. He had his cane, number one. He was leaning towards the wall, out of breath is what they said, as if I did something to him.
He was putting on a show.
Yeah. It's all in the police report. He said he was disabled with the cane. And he told these people he's disabled with the cane. He can't walk and he can't defend himself. And he said that I ran towards him saying, MFer, and he put his elbow up and I hit his elbow and I fell backwards.
You ran into his elbow.
And he was fearful for his life.
Stop.
It's in a police report, verbatim.
So so when that happened, because isn't the rule like someone has to leave the home? Yeah. Did they make him leave or you leave?
They made me leave.
They did not.
Girl, I was so mad. Yeah. I was so mad.
He didn't get arrested or anything.
He didn't get arrested. No. So basically, like Atoya said, somebody had to get arrested. So first of all, my ex-husband had a program into the jail system, and he's very strategic because what he does is he goes to different cities and he try to meet the mayor. He try to meet the law enforcement so he can have them on his side. He want to rub shoulders.
He can rub shoulders.
Right. So he know he's going to do something that's unethical and he need those people in his life. So when they dispatched the guys to come, on the scene, one of the guys knew who my ex-husband was because he played for the Bucks. And he was like, oh, so your ex-husband is so-and-so, so-and-so. And I was like, he was my husband at the time. Yeah. I was like, yeah. And I was like, but do you see the scars on my back though? And he was like, yeah. He was like, well, we handle high profile cases a little bit different. I'm like, this nigga ain't even high profile. And nobody even know him like that.
Cannot, Sarina.
I'm just saying, it ain't like he was a star player or nothing. Talking about high profile, boy, please. So anyway, so he ended up calling one of his other police officer friends and was like, hey, we have a high profile case. You want to
trying to keep it on the wraps a little bit. Right.
So the second guy came or whatever. And that's when they went up and got his statement. And they were like, am I scared? And I was like, no. And it was like, well, when they went upstairs, he was out of breath. He, leaning over, he couldn't barely stand, and because of that, they have to take an able-bodied person to jail. And they took me. So I ended up going to jail. And
although you were the person that called, you ended up going to jail. Okay. Yeah.
And it's so crazy because, I'm a part of Off the Field NFL Watch Association, NFL Sisters in Service. And a couple of those women that's in those organizations are lawyers. And they have heard of situations like this before where the wife ended up calling the the police on the player, and they end up getting incarcerated. It's a good old boy system. So with that said, I was like, dang, so I ain't the only one with a mugshot. Okay. Let me find out. Okay. And then I just felt bad because, number one, I feel like, for real, I felt like I should have, if I would have went to jail, I feel like I should have knocked him upside the head with something. Right. To have a reason to go.
Before y'all take me, let me go grab some stuff real quick.
I was listen, and it's so crazy because like before all this happened, God had me in my word, and I was reading about Joseph. And you know how Joseph was like the coat of many colors, and his brothers, and then he came out on top, right? But I didn't know why God was strategically making me read that same scripture in that same chapter, like over and over again. So when I'm in jail, first of all, I got there at like 7. I didn't get into my cell until like 3:00 in the morning. So the cell they put me in, child. Oh Lord, it was a lady. She was like real big, and she was on the bottom bunk, and she was snoring. And my little old self, I was like, dang, I don't even want to get on the top bunk because if I wake her up, she might beat me up, right? Because like she was like in a deep sleep. So I stood there with my little, because they give you like your covers and all this stuff. I stood with my little. I need to write a movie about this. Right? But I stood there. I stood there with all my stuff like this for a long time, looking at the lady or whatever. And I was like, dang, it felt like an eternity that I was standing there contemplating if I'm going to get on top of that bunk. So I finally did. And I remember I didn't lay down. I had my back against the wall, my knees up to my chest. And I just started crying. And I was like, God, this dude get away with a lot of stuff. You see exactly what he's doing. Like he's doing some shady junk right now. As we speak on this podcast, God see all this stuff, but I feel like he never not get consequences for it.
Yeah. So like there was no accountability.
Right. Yeah. Because of who he is.
Yeah.
So when I kept saying that, I remember God just brought back to remembrance of Joseph, and that calmed me down. And I was like, okay. He was like, just trust me. He said, I got you. And I was like, how you got me? I'm in here.
Right.
Look at me. I'm the one locked up. Look at me. And he got a history of being locked up or whatever. So I was like, all right, you got me. And I ended up going to sleep for like 30 minutes. Then they called me to go to court the next day. Went to court. The judge was like so rude. He was not letting anybody out on bond. I don't care if you stole bubble gum from the stove. You was not getting out.
You caught him on a bad day.
Man, it was on a Sunday too. And so I was like, dang, God, you don't have to. Well, you told me that you got me. Show me that you got me. Okay. So it was so crazy and God has a sense of humor. I kid you not. So they called my name. Well, before they called my name, I went to the state attorney person or whatever. And I told her the story. And I was like, listen, I'm here by myself. My family's in Jacksonville. My daughter's here with my friend. And I told her the situation. She was like, I got you. She was like, I've seen this a lot where the woman called on a guy and they end up getting arrested. So I got you. I was like, okay. So then when they called my name, it was this guy. This is why I say God have a sense of humor. Mind you, I told you how the judge was like really mean that day.
Yeah.
So they called my name, and then it was this guy that looked like he was Spanish, Hispanic or whatever. He was real scrawny. And it was like, Miss Murphy, Sarina Murphy. So I got up and I was like, your husband's here. And they put on a screen the person who's there to advocate against or drop the charges or whatever. And it wasn't him. It was this little skinny, scrawny Hispanic guy. And so I didn't say nothing. I'm looking at the guy. So I was like, because I had called my friend and I told her that, what the situation was. So I didn't know if she sent somebody to oppose as my husband or not. So I didn't say anything. So she's like,
hey, she was like, let me listen. This might work out in my favor. Let me just be real low key up in here.
So I didn't even say anything. I'm looking. And then the guy was like, that's not my wife. And it was just so crazy. And so the guy was like, that's not your wife. And I was like, no. And then he looked at the police report, and it described the height and the weight of my ex-husband. And he was like, oh, you definitely don't look like this person, whatever. So the judge started laughing. So that's why I say God has a sense of humor, because it lightened the mood for the judge. Yes. So he looked at the police report, and then he looked at me and looked at the police report again, looked at me, and he was like, this is the case of David and Goliath. And he started laughing again, but I didn't think it was funny. And so he was like, he said 6'6", 200 and something pounds or whatever. And then he was like, you have a 5'4", 110-pound woman charging at a football player. And he looked at me, he was like, you beat up football players? And I was like, no, sir, I didn't even put my hands on him. And I told him the situation, and he started laughing, and he was like, this don't even sound right. I'm just going to let you go today. And I was like, well, praise the Lord. And he let me go.
I know that's right.
He let me go, and I bailed myself out. So I told because, you have to still pay a fee or whatever. So I told my friend that, because he actually gave me a bond. He wasn't giving nobody nothing. So I had to pay to get out or whatever. So I told my friend, I was like, listen, go get my purse from so-and-so, and, pay it. So that was that. Then
was that your final?
That was my final straw. That was my final straw. And I feel like, sometimes God will tell you to get out of situations, but you don't know how to. And it was multiple times I felt like I should have got out, but I didn't know how to. You know what I'm saying? And that was like literally my last straw. And what really sealed the deal was he put a restraining order against me, and I didn't even do nothing. And so I was like, okay, because he did that, me and my daughter ended up being homeless. We didn't have anywhere to go. So I had to, be who I was before I met him, an independent person. And I just had to like really hit the ground running.
How to get back on your feet.
Yeah. And I really did. And it's so much so I stay literally, I'm looking at the place where I used to stay at, like right now, like that close. Like the devil thought he put me out of this situation, out of this area. And I'm literally looking at my old place right there. Right across the street.
Eek.
So it's like whatever the devil has, to deter you from your dreams, goals, aspirations, and what God has for you as a person, God would be like, okay, I'm gonna let you go through the fire because you're hard-headed. You didn't listen to me when I was trying to tell you. Right. You're trying to do your own thing, go on a little hamster wheel if you want to. But I still got you. Because when I got out of that, when I tell you my career just been booming, booming, booming. Taking off. Taking off. I've been focusing on myself. I've been focusing on my daughter. She has so many accolades. I have so many accolades. I got a new, well, this is not new yet, but I mean, it's not new, but I have my seasoning business behind me or whatever that I started during the pandemic.
Talk about it.
So
talk about it.
I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm a writer. I've done, I wrote for a
hold on, don't just glance over the seasoning.
Let's talk about
okay. Yeah, I want to talk about Aniras spices. That's my name spelled backwards.
Aniras spices.
So I have 4 different seasonings. I have a collard green and kale, a gravy mix, a orange ginger seasoning, and a Cajun seasoning. And what set my seasonings aside is they're all made with love. They're handmade. I have different blends from different countries that brings everything together with bold, robust flavors. Another thing that set me aside is the way that I advertise my seasoning, like the names. For example, this is just a sample packet right here, but this right here is my Pop Your Collars, which is my collard green and kale seasoning.
Come on, somebody. I need that.
That's yesterday. Pop Your Collars.
And then I have my hottie with, all the Y's and everything. I don't have a label on this one, but this is my Squeeze Me seasoning. It's the orange ginger.
Oh, orange ginger.
And then my gravy mix is actually a 2-for-1 because you can also make gravy and you can fry with it. So,
okay.
And it's called Driving Me Gravy. So
Driving Me Gravy, I love it.
So I wanted to do something that's fun, that, represent me as a person. I'm very unique. I think outside the box, and I wanted to think outside the box with the names of my spices.
And your seasonings. Okay. So I'm on this website now.
So, during the pandemic, the whole world shut down. You know, I was in the film industry, very
I was
heavy.
tired of cooking. I'm gonna be honest.
Listen,
look, and I don't even like cooking to begin with. So,
oh my gosh! But that's all I had to do. Like, just cook, watch TV, cook. Couldn't go nowhere. So I just found myself. I was always a cook anyway. So I just found myself cooking a lot more. And my daughter was like, "Mom, you need to open a restaurant." And I was like, "I don't want to open a restaurant. I want to, you know, let me just see about selling my seasoning and see how that works." So I did a poll on my Facebook because I always, you know, showed the dishes and things like that. So I did a poll and I asked if I make a seasoning, would people support it? So I had a big following that said yes. So I actually started off with Jinky packaging. So, you know, like the condiment containers, right? So I put this seasoning in 2 condiment containers and stacked them up on each other and taped it around. And that's how I started, like a true grassroots approach. I didn't touch my savings because I didn't know how COVID was going to affect everything. Yeah. So I didn't care what people say about me. If they thought I was broke, well, shoot. Yep, I am.
Right. Somebody
right. So what happened was that first week that I sold my seasoning in the condiment container, I made $1,200. And I used that money, reinvested, got my labels, jars, and I do graphics and stuff, which I made my graphic back there as well.
It's so cute.
Thank you. So I did my graphics and, you know, it started getting a little bit better. And that was in 2020. 2021, it was still booming. At the end of 2021, I had 2 companies reach out to me. One of them wanted $12,000 worth of my product, and one of them wanted 10,000 units. It was only me, so I couldn't fulfill that order, right? They also was asking me, do I have my UPC codes and things of that nature? So I wasn't even ready for none of that. I didn't even know I really needed a UPC code if I'm selling online, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess if you have a warehouse, you have to have those codes or whatever, and also to put them on shelves. Yeah. So anyway, so what I did in 2021, that happened because COVID happened at the beginning of the year. So towards the end, that's when I got the offers from those 2 companies. 2021 is when I end up shutting the company down the whole year. So I rebranded, which is what you see now. Got my UPC codes and you got everything straight with the FDA and, you know, all my logistics or whatever. So the whole time I'm doing that in 2021, 2022, February 1, I end up in 2 stores. So it just stopped progressing. Like right now, I am halting on orders because Aniras Spices is about to be bigger than even, you know, just being in 2 stores right now. Like we're trying to do mass production.
What 2 stores?
So in Tampa is Dose Marketplace downtown. The owner of Dose also have a market in the Ramada Inn on West Shore Boulevard in Tampa as well. So my spices are in those 2 stores.
Got it.
Yeah. So right now, like I said, I have 2. I have a company that's working with me to do mass production. So I can not only
like a co-packer or something.
Correct. And then also I'll be able to go into like the Publix, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. I can also be a global brand as well. So those are things that I'm working on right now. So yeah.
You know what I can appreciate? I appreciate like when you are in these moments or these times of huge growth that you pause and make sure you have the stuff right the first time. You know, we had the Angel on from the Spice Suite and she talked a lot about like growing when you know that you're ready to grow. And like not forcing the issue because you think what everybody else is doing or everybody else is doing this, so I should be doing it. And you're not ready for it.
Right.
So like you pause and you're like, no, we're going to pause and make sure we do it right. Because when we step into the space, I don't want no issues. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
So let everyone know, I know you have it in these 2 stores. Where can people go online if they want to order Aniras Spices?
So right now, the website is www.aniras.spices. .com. I mean, Aniras_spices.com. And right now, there's nothing on the website. Everything is pretty much sold out. But I will have.
It sure is, because I'm on here right now.
Yeah,
I will need this collard green situation. So you let me know.
Well, I can send you a sample packet.
Okay.
Yeah, I can send you a sample packet. But once everything is restocked, I will definitely let everybody know on the website.
That is awesome.
Okay, wait. So we have something that we do here before you go. Okay. We play a game called the 2-minute drill. And before you go, we like to play this game with you as a send off. And it's just something fun that we like to do. So it's a 2-minute drill. We just ask you this or that questions, rapid fire, fill in the blank questions, and you let us know what your answers are. Okay.
Nice and quick.
All right, Tia, you ready?
Yep.
Fashion or print modeling?
Fashion.
Where do you go when you want to be alone?
My rooftop.
Modeling or acting?
Acting.
When was the last time you tried something new?
Last time I tried something new. I don't know. I gotta think about that.
It's been a minute.
When the last time I tried something new? I don't know.
Okay, it's fine.
All right, so that's all right. Let us know your favorite career moment thus far.
My favorite career moment is being a motivational speaker and speaking life to young ladies that, are on a path of entrepreneurship, speaking to women in reference to domestic violence, just life-changing things of that nature. Also just speaking to Fortune 500 companies with leadership and diversity and inclusion. Any way I can help with the voice that God gave me is something that I love to do. So,
yes. When was the last time you asked for help?
Y'all trying to make me cry? I don't know how to ask for help.
Look,
that's a lot of us. We can have a whole conversation on that separate from
this, exactly.
Okay, you're not alone.
Right.
What time of the day are you most productive?
In the morning.
What gets you excited about life?
What gets me excited about life is breaking generational curses. I'm going to be the first in my family to be a billionaire.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
It's a lot of hard work, boy. Whew. I'm going to get it done.
But you can do it.
What can you do today that you were not capable of a year ago?
Let's see. Be bold, courageous. Speak what I know is the truth. A lot of people don't know I used to have a stuttering problem. When I was younger, I stuttered so bad that my mom had to put me in speech class. Like every word was like, it was horrible. And I kind of see myself like Moses, so it's just crazy how back then I used to be scared to speak, but now
you're doing,
I'm out here,
speaking into other people's lives.
I know that's right.
Better go, Sarina.
I know that's right.
Love that. Okay.
Okay. Last question. What's one thing you wish you'd enjoy more?
I wish I enjoy life more. And when I say life, I'm talking about not the hustle and bustle. I know I mentioned I want to be the first billionaire in my family. With that comes a lot of, work, a lot of hustle and bustle. You really don't have time to stop and think and really enjoy the things that you want. You have to set the foundation, and I'm just making that sacrifice. So I wish that I can enjoy that. You know what I mean? If I had somebody just be like, oh, I just want to pay your bills and let you do what you want to do. Baby, come on.
Hey, baby.
Listen, let's do that. Let me focus on things that I'm trying to accomplish, Yeah. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord, saints.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? So what's next for me? I can't really talk about it. I think I told you, Atoya, my next move. you know.
Okay, well now I want to know when we hit.
I have to tell you, I gotta tell you off camera. You know what I'm saying? Off camera. But I have some things in the work, and it's like God is really moving in my life, and I'm so excited. You know, sometimes we have to take risks on things that we want to do to pursue, you know, where we're trying to go. And I just thank God for the boldness to do that, you know, and because of that, you know, I'm able to do things that I want to do in the industry. So that's all I can tell you for right now. But off camera, I got you.
Okay. So, and when you are ready and able to share with the world, you let us know, because we gonna blast it, do whatever we can to spread it. Because look, we love supporting you and think you're doing some dope stuff. So I can't wait to hear. I cannot wait to hear as soon as we press stop. What this is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we thank you for coming on. We thank you for sharing your story. You know, the great thing about people's story is they see the good, they see everything that's happening, but they don't know the backstory. And it takes bold people like you to share. And not just to share, but now you're walking into it, speaking into other women's lives and other girls that can be blessed by you. So I thank you for coming on and sharing with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the platform. I'm proud of you guys and what you guys are doing as well. And I just see bigger and better things for your podcast as well.
Well, I really enjoyed Miss Sarina. It was a great conversation. She did a great job explaining kind of, you know, her journey, where she went through and how she's came out on the other side.
Yeah, and I'm glad that she talked about the other parts of domestic abuse, the mental, emotional, like all of the things that leave unseen scars. But I know her story is gonna stick with somebody and resonate with somebody, because I know a lot of women that's actually in her same position and don't know how to get out either. So I know to help someone.
And if you guys want to reach out to Sarina, we'll put the information in our show notes. So feel free to reach out to her. Okay, well, that's our show for the latest on the Inside Lines podcast. Make sure to follow us at Inside Lines Podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
And be sure to check us out online at insidelinespodcast.com, and also leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines if you have any guest requests, topics, requests, or questions for Atoya or myself.
Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.